via video, please.
Mahal naming OFW.
Gusto naming magpasalamat sa inyo.
Alam namin mahirap ang naging pagpunta mo dito sa Hong Kong.
Hindi birong iwanan ng Pilipinas.
Asawa at mga anak, magulang at mga kaibigan para magtrabaho sa ibang bansa.
Dahil sa sakripisyo mo, hindi lang pamilya ang tutulungan mo.
Sa paghihirap mong bigyan ng mabuting kinabukasan ng mga anak mo. Hala, ayoko nito, uy! Hala, Lula!
Darating ang panahon na sila naman ang maglilingkod.
Hindi lang sa pamilya mo, kundi sa ibang bayan. Sa buong bayan.
Kaya sana wag kang mawawalan loob.
Naniwala kaming malalampasan mo ang lungkot, lumbay, pangungulila, pag-alala. Ala, ayaw ko nito. Tama ang iyong ibahin tapang. Ikaw magtalo sa ibang kinatatakutan mo.
Huwag ka rin mag-alala. Pinahalagaan ka namin lahat ng mga ginagawa mo. Habang iniisip mo kami, inaalala na namin ang lahat ng nagawa mo na. Habang nangungulila ka, inagaan naman namin ang susunod mong pag-uwi. At sa araw na iyon, ihintayin ka namin lahat.
Kahit hindi ka namin mabati sa araw na yon, alalahanin mong lahat kami ay yumayakap sa iyo.
Oh! Ay! Alalahanin lahat kami ay sumayakap sa iyo. Tumutulog si Kuko. Hindi, okay lang. Wala, ay aking ba yan? Ay ano ba yan? Nakakaiyak!
Migration. Migration is a global human phenomenon impacting the lives of more than 10 million Filipinos and more than 230 million from around the world. These are people who have chosen to leave their home country in order to look for better work and employment opportunities in order to provide for their families' needs. In this example, this is the stereotype of most OFWs, the domestic helpers. A lot of them do not have the educational qualifications, have children to feed, and they have no other recourse but to leave the Philippines because they're from this province in Isabela, Kawayan, where unemployment is very high, so they chose to leave our country. On the other hand, there are also migrant workers that are highly skilled. These are the medical professionals, the engineers. A lot of these Filipinos end up leaving our country. Why? Because of the high income differential. Not just because of poverty, but because with their qualifications, they can get a lot more overseas. The OFW phenomenon is not just constrained to Filipinos, it's in a lot of developing countries. A lot of us do not know it, but in other countries, they also share the same problems. I myself was an OFW. I was actually working in the financial services sector here in the Philippines from 2006 all the way to 2010 of December, where I moved in some of these biggest financial services institutions in our country. And at the end, I was in the Treasury Department at one of the biggest ones. And then I realized that when I was there, while I was performing well every year, the increase in wages every year have been very slow. And the tax structure in our country back in 2010 was 32%. My goal was just to get married, to have children, to have my own house, etc. But how can you do that with less than 40,000 pesos? So even though I was doing well, exceeding the KPIs every year, I need to do it at a faster pace, right? And in that bank, it was really funny because you move up every year, junior assistant manager 1, junior assistant manager 2, junior assistant manager 3. Then you have to pay them to enter a management development program. And then if you leave, you have to pay them back. And then after you get promoted, there's assistant manager, manager 1, they're not contented. There's manager 2, senior manager, assistant vice president, and this is the funniest thing. There is a senior to the assistant vice president when everybody in the treasury team is doing the same thing. All right? So for me, no offense, if I'm the employer, I'll do the same thing, but if I'm the employee, like many Filipinos, I'm qualified, let me just take the leap of faith. At that point, I was working in dealing with in the sales team with a fixed income treasury desk, and it's funny that I was dealing with this high net worth Filipino Chinese because gua ehiao kong lan nang ue. I can speak Chinese, but at the end I said, Bobuntwe, let me leave this country because gua diao gua tiamting, I'll waste my time. I moved to Singapore without a job. Like many Filipinos, I just have my resume. I left my country looking for jobs in Singapore with some of my friends. I dropped my CV in Tanjong Pagar with many companies there. And within 2 months, I was fortunate enough to find a job. But there in Singapore, I realized that the life of an OFW is not just solely based on having a job. Wow, I get 3-4 times more in salary. But you end up leaving your family behind. For me, within 2-3 months, my girlfriend broke up with me. Wow, it's still, I was crying, I was hurt, but just as a small problem compared to most of the other OFWs. The other OFWs, they leave their children behind. You see this video? A lot of them, in that video, 7 out of 10 of the women that we speak to in Hong Kong are actually separated with their husbands. They're not officially separated, but their husbands or them have extramarital affairs because of distance, unable to do proper parenting. It's hard for them when they send money. How do you do financial literacy? There's absence, there's no presence, right? But this actually is even worse. In Singapore, a lot of, and this is very clear to a lot of Filipinos, our diet is just very unhealthy where we eat rice morning, lunch, and dinner. But some of my, housemates, and one of them actually had a stroke within 1 week. And within a few days, he just died. He just had to go home. One of my neighbors is from China, jump off the cliff. Jump off the cliff together with the daughter. So that happens a lot, but that's not reported in the papers because it's bad news. Why would people report it, right? But that's the life of an OFW. But you bounce back with me. I do that by having my own Saturday cycling group where we'd run a lot and jog and cycle around East Coast Park. We would be very active, attend church events. You see a lot of OFWs in Hong Kong, they attend beauty pageants. They have all these fun times because that's their way to just enjoy life. All right? Globally, you see remittances, 450 billion estimated amount of global remittances in 2017. The Philippines ranks third, 32.8 billion in 2017. But what is more striking, is that the BSP did a study in 2014 and it showed that 82% of these cash remittances are actually intended for basic needs. This is Marga. You saw her in the video. She's one of our customers. At the time that we met her, she was on the verge of losing her job, and that happens a lot in different countries. But ideally, she told us that every time she gets her pay, maybe around 4,000 to 300 Hong Kong dollars per month, which is almost 30,000 pesos, she would send the whole amount back to the husband. For food, make sure the daughter goes to school, she's able to pay her bills, and make sure that everybody is healthy. But in reality, a family member who receives the cash would use it for high-end, expensive gadgets, television sets. A family member might use it for alcohol, gambling, and the husband has dabbled onto drugs. That's real. These are not just anecdotes, but it's real. No wonder we did have a candidate that was very popular among OFWs. What do we want to accomplish in BeamAndGo? So in 2015, we started BeamAndGo 2014. I used to travel a lot from from Singapore to Cebu, trying to close deals with these merchants. But then I realized that I have to do it full time because like what the speaker this morning said, it's not just about how big you are, how small, you need to do it fast before somebody else does it. So for us, we ask ourselves the question, how do we eradicate cash theft among OFW families? How do we guide OFWs in managing their pera padala or remittances? How do we help OFWs provide for the basic needs of their families? And at the end is we want them to come back, retire, and make sure that they fulfill their objective. All they wanted was to make sure that their children graduate, they have their own house, they're able to live comfortably. Some of them, by the time they retire, within a few years, they already have cancer and are dying. This is a very simple explanation of how BeamAndGo works, but to illustrate this further, I'll let the video crew play a very short video about BeamAndGo.
One of the biggest problems I face as an OFW is being away from my family in the Philippines. Words are not enough to express just how much I miss them. It hurts. I have a hard time working because my mind is occupied with thoughts of worry. I worriedly think about my parents, my husband, and most of all, my beloved children. Good thing I discovered BeamAndGo. I couldn't understand it at first, but I discovered how much OFWs they've helped.
Yung pera na ipapadala through BeamAndGo, hindi po masayang. Kumbaga, kung pinadala mo ito para sa supermarket at mga gagamitin sa bahay, dediretso po yun doon sa mismo sa pangangailangan. Hindi po ma-waste sa ibang bagay po.
I was surprised at how easy and convenient it was to use their service. All you need to do is log in at www.beamandgo.com. I select the store with the things my family need: grocery and special packages, appliances, fuel allowance, e-load, and grocery gift certificates. I can pay for it online or via cash through BeamAndGo's growing sales channel partners. Instantly, my daughter will receive BeamAndGo SMS message on her cell phone. All she needs to do is bring this to the store, choose the item she needs, and present the SMS code to pay. And she's all set to shop. Piece of cake, right? At least this time around, I can feel at ease and secured, knowing that I have taken care of my family's needs. All I ever want is to continuously make sure that they are living a good life, even if I need to be miles and miles away. Thank you, BeamAndGo, for helping my family. What are you waiting for? It's time to switch to BeamAndGo.
Now, for this to work, we needed to get the merchants. In 2014, when we first pitched to the biggest retailers, the big three, actually they met us a couple of times. Within 6 months, one of them actually copied us. They launched it themselves. At that time, we realized that, well, that's how business works, right? But for us, we changed our strategy. I flew a lot from Davao, Kawayan, Isabela, Just last month, Zamboanga, General Santos. I'll give a few examples. For OFWs, they're actually very, very loyal to the local brand. SM, for example, is very popular in certain areas, but if you go to the countryside, they would choose some of these merchants. I'll just give a few examples. In Bicol is LCC. In Davao is G Mall and NCCC. In Dumaguete is Lee Plaza. In General Santos City is KCC, just to name a few. Because OFWs would choose supermarkets that are affordable, they have all the products within their system, and they're able to save a lot more. If you see BeamAndGo, all our marketing collaterals are all about educating these OFWs. Once you go inside the supermarket, we would teach them, what do you buy inside the supermarket? How do you separate like needs and wants, branded versus local? We make sure that the people are educated and they learn how to save their money. So all our marketing collaterals, marketing promotions, every time we conduct our own financial literacy talk, whether locally or international, it's not telling them, because we're not experts at where you invest your money. We leave it to the experts. But we'll tell you, once you receive your money, and this is the basic problem of OFW, some of them are not ready to start their business. The problem is this one. They send the money, the training is not just conducted overseas. You have to train the beneficiary. You have to train the children. You have to make the children realize that parents are doing it out of love. And the parents themselves need to use technology to be able to do proper parenting. You know, you can use Skype to teach your children math, English. You can use Skype and Facebook Messenger to teach your child. Be present. That's my advice to OFWs. Payment channels. People thought, are you competing against remittance centers? Obviously, we're not. We're actually partnering with them because the remittance centers, they see this as a need for them because they're able to cross-sell and promote it to their own remitters. We have a lot of them in Hong Kong that the first thing that they would ask is, oh, Ma'am Mirna, di ba taga Iloilo ka? Why not 5,000 padala natin sa Iloilo Supermart? In this way, the beneficiary will only use it for the right purpose. Right now, of course, we do a lot of Facebook ads, international marketing. We have partners that also promote us. We've become like a Bayad center for groceries. So there are companies locally and also internationally that they just carry our products, and it appears in their own wallets. So all the supermarkets are present in their store. Back end is actually done by BeamAndGo. So for them, the question is, why would investors would ask, why, Albert, don't you think that they will do it themselves? It actually was done by another company here. They actually flopped because they couldn't do the operations. There's back-end operations, there's customer service, how do you promote it overseas, how do you get partners to promote your products? Then they realized that it's best to give it to us. So we have over 130,000 registered users, 40,000 are active. So this is my team. You see on the upper left-hand side is Jonathan. Jonathan is our CEO. He's based in Singapore, and he's also our tech guy. He handles most of our fundraising and investor relations. And John actually has more than 40 years of experience in tech, database management. He used to have his startup. He's been present in both exits and failures. And his parents are actually OFWs. Back in the 60s, they moved to Hawaii. There were a lot of them as medical professionals. They were both doctors. Of course, he married the Singaporean. Now he's based in Singapore. Myself, I've been in this line for about 12, 13 years. I started working in the financial services sector, moving around from corporate communications, marketing, then treasury. I think the best part was when I was moved to the sales and treasury team. That's where I learned the first thing that's more important when you want to grow a business is being able to network and build your friendships across the community. That's what we did. You look at below is our Beamer Strong team. There's actually 13 of us in the team. We've kept the team quite small over the years because I realized that it's actually very important for us to grow a very strong, committed culture. And that's why most, actually all of the employees of BeamAndGo are coming from OFW roots. And one piece of advice that I give for companies that if you want to start to hire, it's important to ask also how is the relationship of these people who apply with their parents. I realized that a lot of these applicants, if they have good relationships with their parents, they're actually quite obedient, and they end up getting to do the job, getting the job done. This is one example where we also call ourselves like a social enterprise, because this is one of our customers. Her name is Rachel Sone. Beside her is our head of customer service and sales. We hired her after learning about the story of Rachel Sone, and then Shelly is the name of our head of customer service. When we hired her, she used to be our customer service agent. Now she's the head, and she's become one of our greatest ambassadors. So every day, people in our team promote BeamAndGo, and not just our customers, even our staff, and this adds to our credibility. I've always believed that a great leader is somebody who walks the talk, makes the biggest sacrifices, and leads by example, especially once you want to start your company. For us, Johnny and I have always been present. At the very beginning, we would go to Hong Kong, give flyers, sit down in cardboard boxes, and do it ourselves. In that way, everybody who complains, who doesn't want to roll their sleeves, are automatically, they get fired. Singapore, we go to Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, Taiwan, and if you see at events, people would say, wow, you're such a big company, there's so many people. They don't know that in some of these events, only 2 or 3 of us are employees. All the other 30 people are our customers. They end up becoming our ambassadors. And these are a few examples. On the upper left, we have Jen Flores. In the middle is Sweetify. That's her nickname, but her real name is Juliet Lindo from Davao in Compostela Valley. These customers have their own discount codes. Like for example, Juliet has Juliet 10. So every person that she converts gets 10% and she gets 100 pesos. That way, my acquisition cost becomes much, much lower. On the upper right-hand side is Shiraishi. Most of these people that I've met, actually, they saw us at an ad, they just message us in Facebook, and the people, most of my employees are also, they can speak the dialect, whether it's Ilocano, Bisaya, they're able to connect with them quite well. And below, of course, is Jelly Balderas. She said that because of BeamAndGo, I am assured that the needs of my family are afforded to them, and this is actually a better way for me to budget my remittance. Okay, this is where we are now. I'm usually not the somebody who wants to brag about how good we are as a company, but I want to emphasize this not because of the awards, but I want to emphasize that most startups, we don't have the budget to do all these press releases, trying to pitch and promote PR to all these journalists. But for us, I've always believed that PR is good, but PR stands for P for performance, R for recognition. It's 90% doing well, it's only 10% telling the people about it. If you have a good story, at first, it was hard for us, but most of those who picked up BeamAndGo are actually international publications. And soon, only a few ones locally started to follow suit. Because internationally, there's always a migration beat, and they see that this is so good. And it's easy for me to pitch to them. But that was good because every time we get press attention, it helps raise the awareness of how OFWs or migrant workers around the world need a lot of support. Okay, what's next for BeamAndGo? This is a FinTech summit, and we always talk about loans, consumer loans. And what we want to do is actually, and we will start in the second quarter of this year, is to offer a micro consumer loan, which we call purpose-driven, because it's attached to our products, such as door-to-door delivery of groceries, our digital gift certificates. In that way, the customers who would purchase from us can actually advance these GCs and just pay back through our partners overseas. And these are some of the articles that are shown every week. You see a lot of them getting victimized where they couldn't leave the country because their passports were stolen. These are just some stories that would circulate every time. Another thing is, this is what I explained, the micro consumer loan platform. Two things that are very important, of course, is the infusion of your blockchain technology if you want to build your own stored value facility. That was a very good topic yesterday at ADB, whether it's used for utility or whether it's something that you can push with the product. If your product is sticky, then it's something that might work. We believe that's something that we would be willing to explore. The second thing is the micro-consumer loan platform. And this one is something that we are continuing to build. We will launch it by the second quarter of this year. And what's very unique about this product is we're going to use the massive data that we collect, social media. People register a lot every day at BeamAndGo, and we'll use that for us to be able to deliver results in nanoseconds. So that ends our presentation. Before I end, of course, I'd like to thank everybody here. I'm in the presence of all these bankers, startups like us. We want to change the world. At the same time, we know that we need to work with everyone, like the many helping hands. And I believe that it was hard for us at the beginning where sometimes there is a lot of friction, a lot of companies that are very scared to work with startups because either they think that they rather do it themselves or they're just afraid that you don't have the backing or the ability to execute. For us, we're able to do it at a very small budget, but today we feel that it's time for us to work together in this very small community. And at the end of the day, you know, businesses want to make money, startups want to do good, but at the end of the day, like what this conference is about is money is the root of all good. Thank you very much.